Welcome to Your Business, My Business. A show dedicated to showcasing small and medium businesses in Nigeria and beyond. Let's help you grow your entrepreneurship journey.
Leather doesn't just tell a story. It is a story of process, precision, and patience. And today we are sitting with someone who has built this into a brand that outlives generations. Hello and welcome to another episode of Your Business, My Business. My name is Faith Oyewole, and today we are sitting with someone I admire a lot. Yes, it's just been a short time I have met him, but one thing I can say is this is someone who has built and is still building a brand. It's good to see you, sir. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are
very
you
much.
doing? Let me go back to the beginning. Now, I just know you. It's just been a very short time since I've known you, but for people who actually do not know you, who do not know what you do, how would you introduce yourself to them?
Well, my name is Otejire Jumabone. I am the creative director of a local leather goods brand, based here in Lagos, Nigeria. We're Anka Rish leather goods, and we're a brand that is focused on making good quality items that we intend to be part of our users' journey and even possibly even outlast, their careers. We, want to make items that people can pass along and, enjoy, and want to make items that also can be part of their stories.
Mm-hmm. So for Anka Rish, I want to calm down a bit. Let's go to the top where it all started. We all know there is no brand that just came out and just fell from the sky. You started from somewhere. So what is the story behind Anka Rish?
That's a good question. I have always liked leather products.
Okay.
But I'll go a bit further back. My creative journey started out, after I got out of university. I worked with a real estate company for a while, and then I transitioned into taking pictures. Started out for me as a hobby. And you know how it is when you have a hobby and people feel, especially friends and family, they feel what you do is good.
Yeah.
They begin to advise you, you could turn this thing into a money-making avenue for yourself, and I did a lot of commercial photography, events, weddings. But at some point in 2014, I began to play with the idea, or I picked up an interest in crafts, leather crafts to be specific. And, I began to play with the idea of, let me see how I can make one or two small leather items, for myself and all of that. And then I went ahead and, bought the tools for leather crafting. I'm also someone who likes to read a lot and study, so I could teach myself things, So I did a lot of research online, watched a lot of videos on YouTube, got the right tools I needed, and then I started making leather products. It's not been a straightforward journey because not going to like a proper orthodox school, so it's been a bit of a longer journey, but it's something I've enjoyed because I've had to on my own navigate the Nigerian leather industry and all of that, and that has led us here today. I started out in my, small living room a couple of years ago. And today we've grown the brand to roughly about 7 staff. We have production staff, we have people in admin, and we're still looking to grow. So, we're still on the journey.
And it's still actually going to grow.
Yes.
Decades are still going to come in.
Yes.
Let's go to the early stage of Anka. You mentioned that it took longer than normal, like people who actually go to schools for this.
Yeah.
Those early stages when it became business for you, what would you say about those early stages? Because I see we have so many entrepreneurs right now who prefer to cut corners. They prefer to just, if it's possible for a big brand, just fall from the sky and they already own it. They don't know how to start from the scratch because they feel the early stages carries a bit of challenges that they feel they cannot navigate through. So for someone like you who started small from the scratch, what would you say about the early stages?
First, I would start by saying that, anything worthwhile is never straightforward, and is always going to be met with a little bit of difficulty because, that's what allows you to grow character, grow your knowledge and all of that. For me, starting out, I've always been also an adventurous person, right? And so for me, it was a bit of an adventure. I'm not saying there weren't difficult times, but I had told you that I had transitioned from being a photographer into
craft,
making leather products full time. So it wasn't like it was the first business I started. I wasn't necessarily starting from scratch. I already had a little bit of business education from experience, and with regards to funding and being able to get the materials and the tools and all of those things, I had a business that was running, so it was easy for me to take money from there to fund my new hobby, right? So it wasn't really difficult, but in the area of know-how when it comes to leather crafts, knowing the type of leathers to buy, the type of tools to buy, how to source, how to go about making finished products and all of those things. It was a bit difficult, but like I told you, the beauty is, thank goodness for the internet, thank goodness for YouTube. I was churning through videos on YouTube, learning a lot of things, shout out to a lot of craft guys who, share resources and all of that. And I think it's also imparted me in my journey. Now that I have a bit more knowledge, I don't keep information, So when I have younger people who want to start out asking me, oh, where did you buy this particular item? Or who is your plug in this country? Or I'm very, very happy to share that knowledge. So with regards to difficulty, yes, it was a bit difficult, but we're here today. So
and you're actually thriving. So if you talked about YouTube, learning from YouTube and social media, I want to dive in a bit.
And books also.
And books also.
Yeah.
I want to go that direction a bit. So I'm someone who has, let me talk about myself right now. I'm someone who has, apart from being a presenter, I have my own craft. Like I have something I do.
Yeah.
And when people ask me and I tell them that I learned it from YouTube, they are always of the opinion that people who learn from YouTube, people who don't learn like physical classes.
Yes,
physical
like the
training,
orthodox way. Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
that whatever they are building is not doesn't have a good foundation. What do you say about that?
I think that lies in the fact that, for the longest period, the thinking of Nigerians has been that you can only be looked at as somebody who has the proper knowledge in a proper area if you had gone to a true orthodox education and you have the certification to show it, right? And you wouldn't blame people because it's the way of the world, right? But I think things are also changing. It's the age of information now. You have a lot of information. You have a lot of outlets on the internet. You have social media. You have influencers. You have doing a lot of positive things, albeit other people who are doing things that are not so positive. But it's both ways. You can't, throw shade on it because you have a lot of influencers who are bringing a lot of information, positive information, and teaching the younger generation a lot of positive things. So that's the age we find ourselves in. But I also think that people have different learning styles. I've always been someone who I learn very fast visually. And what that means is if I see somebody doing something, especially something that has to do with craft, I only need to watch you for a short while. And then I'm able to do it almost like I've been doing it for years. So that's one of the things that helped me. Also, growing up, I'll do a shout out to my parents. They taught me the culture of reading. And so, and I think reading is very, very important, being able to read because reading and writing go in tandem, right? And if you can read, it means you can teach yourself, right? If you're somebody who loves to read, it means you can teach yourself, because that's one of the main ways to assimilate knowledge, So I think those things help me to be able to find my way.
So we want to come back to business, talking about money.
Yeah.
We're coming back to business. So we talked about how you started and all, but I would like you to be practical. If you can give me an example of a time that was the toughest. Yeah, I would love it if you can actually share, and how you navigate through, how you were able to actually come out of it.
I've had tough times, but recently I listened to something on Instagram, and it says anybody who has an option is to a certain extent privileged. So what I mean by that, I'll explain. If you have the option of saying, oh, today I don't want to eat beans, it's yam I'll eat. There's privilege there.
Yeah.
There's some privilege there, right? I'm a last child, and I have older ones who have been fond of me. And so in my journey, most of the difficult challenges I've had, I've almost like had people to bail me out, right? Especially with regards to things like funding. When you start out a business, like making leather crafts, and around the time we started, which is pretty much over a decade ago, I mean, in recent times, you see that Nigerians are beginning to appreciate locally made products, right? The narrative that whatever it is made locally isn't of good quality or isn't of international standard is changing at lightning speed, right? And I'll just take this opportunity to give a shout out to all of the people who are involved in local manufacture and craft and all of that, because it is not an easy thing. Being that Nigeria, for the longest period, has been more of a consumer-oriented nation where people love to import foreign products and use, and the reason, yes, for good reason, because, the foreign products before now have been better made, and give people value for their money.
Yeah.
But Nigerian products are beginning to compete, and Nigerian products or African products have something behind them, which is, our creativity, our tradition, which you necessarily wouldn't get from imported products, right? And so, for me, I was lucky enough to be able to get things done on the financial aspect with regards to bootstrapping. When I needed some extra money, I was able to make a call and say, oh, please help me. And, but I'm not saying that there were not difficult times, because it's not as if the funding from, my family was always available, but I mean, I had done business before, I'd been in photography before. I had been open to challenges with cash flow issues and things like that. So, I mean, it's one of those things when you're in business, especially when you're growing a business in the early stages, say first 5 years, you have all of those challenges. But then as you go along, you begin to understand the environment in which you work in. You begin to understand partnership, and, you begin to build a community. You begin to understand leverage. And then people also begin to know who you are and appreciate what you do, and recognize the value you provide. And the moment people do that, cash flow becomes an easy thing, because cash flow is almost like the salt in the stew of life,
And
right?
the salt. The salt.
It all goes somewhere to die.
So you're telling me that there wasn't a time that you actually wanted to give up?
Oh no.
At all?
Oh no, never
Wow.
a time.
That's the first time.
Honestly, there was never a time.
Wow.
So I started out in 2014 as a hobby, but at that time I was still juggling photography, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So I transitioned. I didn't leave photography. I never fully left photography, but I didn't leave it, for quite a while. For a couple of years, I was still doing that. And then along my journey, I began to meet I began to meet other people who were in that same space with more experience. I had told you about a lady I met earlier, Mrs. Femi Olayebi, the owner of Femi Handbags. Big shout out to her. She's, in my opinion, she's done a lot for the leather goods industry in Nigeria. you know, and I had met her sometime in 2017 when, and the first time I met her, we had almost like a 2-hour conversation. And she was telling me about wanting to start the Lagos Leather Fair. Lagos Leather Fair, we're having the 9th edition at the end of June this year, you know, and that was then, I think in the first edition, I think was in 2018 or 2017, you know, and we had that conversation, and about a year later, she had reached out to me and said, oh, I'm organizing some trainings. Would you like to be a facilitator? And I said, yes. And, you know, that's how my training journey started. So those opportunities had always presented themselves. And luckily enough, I was able to stand up and, you know, embrace those opportunities properly, you know, so it's been good.
And you actually used these opportunities very well. I would actually say I've met a lot of people into this leather work.
Yeah.
Not too much, but at least a couple of them. And I would say when it comes to pricing, because we're diving into that now, I see some of them in a way that maybe it's the kind of people I've met actually. When it comes to pricing, when it comes to leather, I've been in like bags, shoes, and all. When a customer down prices them, they prefer, instead of explaining, I'm a type who believes when they downprice your product, you should at least explain to them why it is this and why it is not this. But I've seen some people that once they downprice your product, they use lesser leather, they use lesser quality without actually letting the customer know that this is how it's going to be.
Yes.
So what do you say about that?
Well, I would say it depends on what they are trying to achieve, right? There's what you call brand integrity. And what brand integrity means is that the value proposition that you've given to the world should always be consistent across board, right? And what I would do in that instance, if I had potential clientele who wanted me to give a discount or downgrade my pricing, the first thing we'll do is we'll look at it and see if it's a possibility. And what do I mean by that? If it's possible for us to work with the pricing they're offering. And how do we do that? We want to be ensure that we have, we're able to cover the cost of materials, we're able to cover the cost of labor, we're able to cover all of our other running costs and then also make a profit. If that's not possible, then you have to be able to tell the client that, oh, we're not going to be able to do this. But there is no point, in my opinion, and that's why I said we're all different, right? But there is no point using substandard materials because, like I said, at the end of the day, it will affect your brand integrity.
Off camera, we had a conversation when I said, when I first saw your brand, what happened? It appealed to me like luxury. And you said something. I want to bring it back and say, you said something that you prefer to call it premium. Now, I want to go there. It's something I learned from our I actually want to bring it on camera. You talked about how you treat customer and we want to bring it side by side with luxury. Now, you said you would not call your brand luxury because of what it represents, what you represent, and how you want to put it out there.
Yeah, so for me, it's more like a premium brand. One of the reasons why I'll use the word shy away from calling the brand luxury is because I think in recent times, the term luxury has really been bastardized and used out of context. There are a lot of factors that you need to put into consideration before an item can be called a luxury item. I don't exactly know how to list out all of those factors. One of them is obviously exclusivity, right? So what are the sort of maybe materials you're using that can't easily be found or by your competitors, you know? also you look at things like, one of the things when you look at proper luxury brand, you see that their advertising is always very, very top notch.
Yeah.
You know, they spend a whole lot of money on advertising. They spend a whole lot of money on things like also distribution, creating a proper brand story and all of those things. And now I'm talking about luxury leather products, right? For them to be able to charge at a certain price point, you know, that makes them luxurious goods. And so until, as a brand, I'm able to offer my clientele that, I don't think Anka Rish is a luxury brand. We are a premium brand. We make premium leather products. That's where we are now.
Before we go into another segment, what have you done for your brand to make sure that even when other generations come through you, your brand is still existing?
This is a very, very good question. You know, I had a conversation with a friend of mine about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me a question then. He said, what is your 30-year plan for Anka Rish? And I was quiet. And he told me, you haven't thought that far, right? And I said, yes. And I was like, you should begin to think that far. I think for us, if you look at the way we operate in Nigeria, especially when you have small businesses that then grow to become, you know, let me not say grow to become family businesses, but small businesses that grow enough to become significant in the society, there's not always that plan for continuity, right? Because you have families who own a business or an individual owns a business. The individual has raised his children. They've gone to all of the good schools. They've gotten decent education. But then at some point, you see that the children want to do their own thing. And sometimes that might lead to the brand dying out, right? But it is also important that even if it can't be continued by your family, there should be put in place some sort of mechanisms that allow for continuity, you know. So it's not that for the rest of my life that I want to be head of the brand.
Yeah.
You know, you also have to, as some people will say, sack yourself in some particular areas with regards to some responsibilities. So the two areas I'm juggling now is being the creative director and also being the CEO. Being a creative director appeals more to me, but being the CEO of a brand, because I'm the head, I have to be the one who is talking to clientele. I have to be the one who is thinking about, the business growth for the next 5 to 10 years. I have to be the one who is trying to build new relationships and going out there to make new connections and constantly thinking of ways for the business to grow. But it doesn't mean that if the business grows to a certain point, we can't onboard somebody who is a CEO, or who says we can onboard another person who is a creative director, and then we already have the brand ethos, what we do, who we are. All you need to do is to allow those people that are coming into the business align with, you know, the brand values and the brand ethos, and then it continues, right? You know, so that's something that I'm thinking a lot about now. It's interesting you asked the question, because we have a lot of let me use the word baby boomers. Those are the generation who are like in their 70s, and you have a lot of them now who are at retirement age, who are selling off their businesses without any plan for continuity and things like that, you know. I don't think it's the best way for us to go. We might in Nigeria be able to, we need to do things differently, because if you look at other developed countries, you see businesses that are 100 years old. You know, classic example, we have some leather goods brands, Italian leather goods, French leather goods brands that have been there for hundreds of years and are still, you know, are still existing. So do you need to create a trust that has to ensure that maybe one of your family members is there, provided, you know, things like that. You need to put all of those mechanisms in place that, you know, allow for continuity for as long as possible.
That's wonderful. It definitely means that you have a great plan for Anka Rish.
Yeah, I have a plan.
That's wonderful. That's good. That's good. So still on your business, my business, we would love you, sir, to give us a workshop experience.
Oh, okay.
Can you take us through the process of how you make your products, and if possible, we would love to go with you to your workshop.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to show you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. So what happens here?
So this is more like it's more of a workshop space than the other side. Yes, they put workshops, but as you can see, we have more tables for where they're doing more of the joining and then stitching physically, basically finishing the product.
Okay.
One of the things we're very, very particular about is finishing, right? And finishing is what separates a premium product from just any other product. And one of the key aspects to product finishing is the edges. So if you see the edges of this, we try to use like an edge coat to make it smooth.
Okay.
Right. So that it's smooth to the touch. It's not rough, and that's what gives it almost like an elevated finish. Right. So we do a lot of that there. Like I said, we also do some of the stitching and all of that. So this is an example of one of our products, which is still under production.
Okay.
It's a double compartment briefcase. This one we're making in patterned crocodile leather. This one we made in patterned ostrich leather. Right. This one was specially requested for. So because we have clients that would come and say, "Oh, can you get it in this leather, in this color?" So we have to try to do things for our clients. One of the other things we do a lot of corporate gifting.
Okay.
So we work with corporate organizations to make items for their companies, right? So
for like conferences.
Yeah, for like conferences, or even making products for them to sort of like give to their
clients.
To their clients, exactly. We give them that elevated feel.
Yes.
We make the products. We are in charge of the packaging. All we do is hand the product over to and then they take it and hand it over without thinking about any other thing, right? So that's one of the things. These are some products that were made, for So
this looks. Okay.
No, so this is almost like a valley box. So it's almost like the thing you can put. It's like a box.
Confused.
It's like a box where you can put things to organize your table.
Oh, okay.
Right. So if you have like your office table or even a table in your house, in the living room, you can put like your remote controls and all of those things. And it's a very, people like things like this.
Yes.
So you see that the products are not only bags and all of those things. We also make items that you can use inside the house. In the interview we did earlier, I didn't know where we sat. Yeah. I didn't know if you cut it, but the pillows we used, the leather throw pillows, we also made those.
Wow.
Right here. So, you can make so many things using leather. So many things using leather,
So what is one costly mistake that anyone could make while making leather product that could actually ruin the old products from?
There's something that there's something that amongst leather goods makers is a saying: measure twice, cut once. Yeah. Leather is very, very unforgiving. Measure twice, cut once. So in the event that you're trying to cut a piece of leather, you have to do your measurement
very well. Because
the moment you cut it, you can't take it back. Right? It is also, leather is also not like fabric. Fabric, in the event of stitching, you can make a mistake and losing it.
Yeah.
The moment the needle goes into the leather,
it's done.
Even if you're losing it, the marks are still going to be there. So it requires a higher level of precision, in my opinion, to make these products. But we're here, it's our work. And
so are you of the opinion, because I hear a lot of I want to bring it down to fashion designers, because it is a bit you have a little bit of similarities with fashion designers. I don't know if
we design.
So, now
and this is also fashion.
Yeah, it is fashion. I'm talking about clothes now, right?
Okay, yeah.
People say that when a tailor or a fashion designer makes a mistake, it becomes a style. Does it apply to you?
Yeah, sometimes mistakes can become style. In many instances, there have been mistakes that you can easily just turn to become a feature is very, very nice. And, it's a process. Even the most experienced bag makers or leather goods makers sometimes make mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? But that being said, if what you're looking for is consistency and a mistake is made, it will mean that sometimes you need to start again. And in so many instances where we've been making products and then, maybe a team member makes a mistake, I tell them you have to start it again. They might not like it, but it needs to be done properly. And that's how we operate, because like I told you, for us, customer satisfaction, it's second to nothing. Trust me, second to nothing. It's very, very important.
Thank you so much, sir. I must say it has actually been a very, very, very interesting moment with you since we got here. Anka and Rich has actually wowed us. So I would like you to say something to the camera. I would like you to say something to just entrepreneurs who are just starting out. Those ones who feel like they want to give up in between, those who feel like they don't even have the knowledge to actually go on. What would you say to entrepreneurs like that?
Well, not to sound corny, but I think one of the things that has really stayed with me for a very long time, I heard it from a presenter, music presenter on TV, very, very popular from back in the days, Kenny's Music, Kenny and D1.
Okay.
Some people will know who I'm talking about, D1 Dio Adineye. And there was something he said so many years ago that stuck with me. He says progress is made by people who say it can be done. Right? So, at any point in time, there are always going to be challenges where you're thinking, oh, is this going to work for me? You just need to, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and say it can be done. And you make progress.
Just pull yourself and,
and you make progress.
And you make progress.
Yeah.
I'm picking that for myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that down in my diary. Very important. And so that is it on this episode of Your Business, My Business. You've heard the story of resilience. You've heard the story of someone who has built Anka and Rish from something small to what it is today. And from what I've heard, it's actually still going to go very, very far. We want to say a big thank you to the creative director and the CEO of Anka and Rish for allowing us to have this episode with you. I must say, personally, even though I'm not into the leather business, I have learned a lot from you. The fact that, oh my God, he speaks intelligently. I'll talk about that off camera. And that is it for Your Business, My Business. I still remain Faith Oyewole. Stay with us. Bye.